All right, I am here with Zwede Heweitt, track star and CEO of LUHU. And we're just going to be talking about a little bit of his company right now. And so, Zwede, can you tell us what is LUHU exactly?
Firstly, LUHU means, by acronym, let us help you. And I'm the CEO and co-founder at LUHU. We had this idea, we started in 2018. And LUHU is essentially a social marketplace, is how we describe it. And it's the merger or that intersection between social networking and e-commerce. So that is where you get the idea behind social marketplace. And the idea behind LUHU came about in terms of observing social networking or observing how people communicate generally. If you think about Facebook and you think about Instagram, how they are now, I don't think that was the idea of how the inception was. Initially, when Facebook started, it was a platform you can make friends and create this network, and sort of like a network for what? So we wanted to create a platform that is more purpose-driven and allows people to connect purposefully. So we believe that social media has taken a turn and has become really unproductive, and a lot of it could be used really well, but it also has an aspect that doesn't have any much value to it. So, and that typically is what is dominating the culture behind social media: unproductiveness, posts that have nothing of meaning or value. So we wanted to create a platform that actually creates value for the users, and that is essentially what LUHU is: a purpose-driven social networking platform that allows users to connect and engage purposefully to find resources. So that is what LUHU is.
Nice. That's awesome, man. And I love the idea. One of the things that I love about the site as well, or the app, is that you can like barter with people based on what you need. And so creating that type of community, I think, is an awesome thing. And so what does it take to start a technology company like this? Would you consider it like an app-based company? How would you classify it?
Well, the reality is that when I wouldn't recommend anyway to start a company. one pause on one pause on the camera. They just wanted to close something 1 second. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend anyway to start a company. It's like you could start an idea. If you develop a company, that's two different stories. So you don't start a company first and foremost. You try to create an idea that is massive, and if it's massive or big enough, it requires multiple people, and multiple people create a company. So that is first and foremost my philosophy. So, but what it takes to start a company, it takes, from my perspective and honest opinion, it takes again something of big enough impact that requires more than just you as one individual, first and foremost, to start a company. And then next, it takes you creating a vision that allows people to be, one, drawn to it, to stimulate growth of this, to manifest into the action or the desired outcome. So a company, again, is grown by people and not a product. So to start a company, it requires you developing a vision that is big enough that requires a group of people to come together to execute it successfully. So again, if you want to start a company, think about how much people you can be drawn to an idea that requires it to be successful. So that is the first step, I would say.
Nice. And so I guess, how did you go about drawing people towards this idea of LUHU? And what type of people did you have to draw in after you created this idea of a company called LUHU and what you guys are doing in the social space?
Well, fortunately, for me, when I went to Baylor University, I studied communications. So I started business. I dropped out of the business school because of duties on track, and it was just the burden was a bit too much for me to manage. I started doing communications because I believed, even way back then, that all business is effective communication, essentially. And and yeah, that was my perspective. I was a good communicator, so I always figured that my best bet to grow a company was to be able to connect and communicate with the people who were experts in particular fields needed to grow and scale this company. So my scaling perspective is I reach out to individuals who were experts, got feedback if they were engaged in the project the way they had a passion for it and really wanted to get involved. We I then fostered a relationship that allowed them to work more so on a long-term perspective to drive the vision. So I strategically aimed and found the guys who were experts in areas that I figured I was weak on. I was not a technical guy. I didn't know how to build an app. So I found someone who was technical and he shared similar mindset, interest in the project, and passion. So after a period of developing a relationship, I brought him on board in the company, similar for all the other partners who are not necessarily paid staff, is they shared similar vision, interests, but also had a passion for what the outcome would have yielded. So that is how that is the strategy I use to sort of like build that team, to build that company.
And so, what type of social media company would you most compare LUHU to? Because when I was thinking about LUHU and what you guys were doing, I was thinking of it as a different type of Airbnb, or maybe even an Airbnb and Uber together. But earlier I heard you mention Facebook is even a company that you would compare LUHU to. And so what company do you think is your closest competitors? And how is LUHU differentiating themselves from those particular companies?
I would say Facebook. Facebook because of the umbrella of companies under Facebook. So Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
So when you consider those, Facebook Marketplace as well, sort of like its own entity,
Mm-hmm.
I would closest compare what LUHU does to Facebook. So essentially, again, but taking back and driving back to the original days of Facebook, as we on this conversation, they are essentially our biggest competitor. Um, Facebook started with this idea of connecting people and developing relationships, you would say.
Mm-hmm.
But as time go by and you develop these relationships, what was the purpose of some of these relationships? It leads you to wonder and question, right?
Time
So
consuming.
so yeah, so
Consuming
you
time.
correct. So but not going to consume your time, but also you would look back now, and if you created a Facebook account from 2009 and you
Yeah.
still have that active, you'd look back and say, shit, some of these people are my friends. Some of these people, they do shit that is not relevant to my
Yeah.
trajectory of my life,
Yeah.
and a lot of it does not create value. That is the reality. So there's a lot of traction on social media that creates no value.
Mm.
So from that perspective, we took the anti-approach of creating a social platform that creates value specifically. So that is where LUHU differentiates itself. It allows you to connect, again, for resources. You can connect to individuals to find products, to find
Mm.
services, to find accommodation, to find food, to donate to a charity. So we had these wide spectrum of various categories which you could offer offer something. You can offer a particular product or service, or you can offer something to a particular category. So
Mm.
we filtered our communication lines along value add resources. Essentially, that's what we did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everything is related to a particular resource on LUHU that generally adds value to human life and human society. So we launched our first version of the application. It was pretty broad. It allowed you to connect for about 10 different things, from products to
Mhm.
services, food to accommodation to donate. And what we did is we connected feedback in terms of how users were naturally using the app. And they were predominantly using it right now post COVID to offer products. So meaning we have over 1,500 users. We have over 800 listings on the application, and 300 plus of those are related to products, meaning folks are coming on LUHU to sell a product, right?
Mm.
So, secondly, we have over 200 plus listings related to services. So, folks are coming on to offer service on the platform. So, what we did is we took that data, collected it, and now we are building out a second version, which drives users to sell products more efficiently by integrating a free e-commerce platform. So we are building based off of what our users want and need, as opposed to what we want to bring to the market. So that would kind of say that even though I had this original idea of LUHU, and I had this utopia world of LUHU, of where
Yeah, yeah.
everybody on this platform would connect and share resources, and you just barter, and I have this for you and you can connect to me, and we just connect this. You find the idea for LUHU is you find what you want, you press a button. If you want a plumber to come to your house now, you press a button, and someone of your friends from high school, I'm pretty sure, right? I'm 100% sure that you have a friend, whether he be from Trinidad or America or someplace, who is a plumber and may own a plumbing company, but you do not know that he is a plumber.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what if now you could connect a friend from high school who is a plumber now, and you don't know he's a plumber, but you can actually connect him for that particular purpose.
Mhm.
Give him the opportunity for the job as opposed to a random stranger.
And I love that. And if you're watching the live stream, feel free to smash that like button or share the video so people can hear it. Also, drop in the comment section where you're watching it from. Some of you may be watching it from the United States and may not know Zwede is actually located in Trinidad right now. I'm pretty sure you're in Trinidad right now. And so if you're an audience from Trinidad, drop that on the comment section. But if you're watching, just drop something in the comments so we can know, and I'll probably pull it up on the screen. If you have questions for Zwede at all, let us know, drop it in the comments, and I will ask it to him as well, potentially. And so I really like that idea. And so I don't know if, and I'm introducing a foreign concept maybe here. And in America, there is a pretty large, I would say, what is considered like a buy black movement, where people are trying to support people in their local communities. And so one of the beautiful things I would say about LUHU, or it's spreading up here, is being able to, like you said, connecting with people maybe in your circle that is a plumber, and not even necessarily maybe barter, because I know two people off the top of my head who are plumbers, but connecting with them so that when I ever have a job, I can support their business.
Yes.
One of the things that I find a lot of times is that we have friends doing certain things in certain industries, like you mentioned, but are unable to support them, or would like to support them, but don't know what they actually do. And so, when I first heard of LUHU, I thought in a very utopian way. I think like your vision of people in a community, regardless of what that community is, being able to connect with each other to support, help, and grow each other's businesses. And so I just think that's an amazing thing that LUHU is trying to do. And I do believe this is the time for that type of idea. And so I'm excited to see how this platform will take off and spread. With that being said, one of the things I'm always interested in is how people kind of grow and build a business. And so, some of the people may be watching, maybe have a different ideas. And so they're wondering how to scale their business. How are some ways that you have scaled LUHU or plan to scale LUHU in the future?
Well, scaling a business requires various resources. It requires human capital. It requires cash capital, so monetary capital. So cash capital, network capital, and essentially, well, those are the first two areas. So every business requires, if you have a profitable business, non-profits need money, for-profits need money. That is just human society right now, right? So at some point you are going to need capital. So how I overcome that capital roadblock? I raised capital through friends and family to start with. So I had my sister, my brother, my mom, my dad. I pitched them to the early idea. I told them, this is what I want to do. I am putting this forward, and if you want to be part of it, I welcome you to be part of it. And I started using the friends and family support, and my sister would support me financially, my brother. And then as we scaled up and the demands for, additional capital came at this early stage, I reached out to the next branch of my family. I have
Yeah.
cousins who supported me. I have uncles. So I reached out within my network to
Mm-hmm.
raise capital early when I couldn't support it personally. Um, I had friends, close friends who supported as well too. So friends and family supported my early cash demands, and we
Mm-hmm.
transitioned that from friends and family to sort of like an angel round of investment, meaning you strategically identify, and as a process, it doesn't happen by chance.
Yeah.
You as a founder, knowing that you have these needs of capital, whether it be financial or relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you need to now assess your network and say, hey, who in my network could potentially afford to fund this particular stage of development of growth? You need to assess that. You assess your network, you identify individuals who may have higher earnings typically, and you present them a proper idea, but not only for value for you, not asking for donation. You present a preliminary
Yeah.
business model that translates value to them as well through returns. So at that point is where you have to start to consider how you are going to start to set up a business. A business is different from a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how you're going to set up a business so you can present a business to someone who may be willing to give you a financial contribution towards the success of business, but they want something back,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So that's the second step. And that is different from friends and family. You might talk to your brother and your brother be like, hey, I go support you, hold $1,000. That's completely
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
So as you defer further and further away from that core
Mm-hmm.
core network that you have,
Yeah.
so grows your business model, so grows your business, and then so might grow your company. Because there's only so much that one individual can manage, especially in the dynamic world now, where there's so much going on, so much different variables in life. You are going to require help. So
Mm-hmm.
at some point, the next step would be relationship capital. So I would say you
Yeah.
could start the idea all on your own. You could get a little bit of money, and these early stages is I would recommend it. You do on your own because that would really determine whether you want to proceed on this journey or not. So if you
Yeah.
bring somebody on too early, I think that you could sometimes it expedites your growth a little bit too much, the way you are not
Mm-hmm.
really fully developed in terms
Yeah.
of this is what I want to do. So spend some time first by yourself researching. After research, invest your own money first. Invest your own money first. Secondly, even if it's a $1 business, invest 1 cent first, right? So just put one money first. If you need more money, then you aim for money from your friends and family. Then you build a support system to protect those finances. That's what a business is. A business protects is a legal entity to protect
Mm-hmm.
those finances of the company. So you establish that entity to protect those finances and grow those finances to yield returns for you as a business owner, but also to your stakeholders.
No, that's awesome, man. And I think that will definitely help. I love the fact that you said you started with friends and family members first,
Mhm.
and how that relationship may be different than others. I guess a question with raising outside angel investments, like you mentioned, what are some incentives for the angel investors? And if you're able to say, I don't know if anything is confidential or not.
I can say
And
some. I can say some. I can say some. I
and
can say.
on top of that,
Yeah.
I know crowdfunding is something that is super big. So, are people still able to invest into LUHU, or is that round of fundraising for individuals, let's say, or stuff like that, is already closed?
Um, well, to start with, all right, so angel investing and that sort of like that next tier
Hmm.
of funding um, is hard. It's hard it's hard because it's hard to get people money. That is just reality, right? No, it's hard to get people money, and so again, thorough assessment of your network, because an
Yeah.
angel investor is someone who's going to believe in you, but
Hmm.
also they have to understand enough about it to where it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, you're not going to give any money as much
Yeah.
as they believe in you. So at a basic minimum level of the model, it has to make sense and they have to believe in you. So um, that is the first roadblock. Yeah, I mean, you have to then
Mhm.
develop this idea into something that is presentable to somebody else, that is
Yeah.
presentable
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
understandable. So typically, angel investment or that round of investment, it really differs to the magnitude of the business and the scalability of the business. I mean, if you want to set up a corner store and your annual returns is $1 million, you are never ever going to need $100 million investment. Right? So you might need 10% or 15% or 20, let's say 20% of that capital maybe to start up, if you could, to cover inventory stock, and you renting a spot. So the demand scale with the scalability of your business. And again, I always encourage you to think big, but also thinking big is broken down to segments, right? So the crazy part is that the bigger that you think is the less that you need to start. That is the reality. The bigger that you operate.
Explain that. That's deep, but I don't know if I fully follow. The bigger you think, the less you need. Can you dive in a little deeper there?
Because if you think so big to where you cannot do it on your own, is the first thing you would need is help. Right? The first thing you would need is help, is to ask somebody, how can I move forward with this? Because if we all literally were young and figured that humans would go to the moon and that stuff, and we saw and we all knew that someday there was, but we have guys now who are actually doing it. So, but as we were young, we never really thought about. We thought about the what, but not necessarily the hows. So it's like when I say the bigger you think is the less you need, is because the help comes for free if you ask for it. So help comes for free if you ask for it. So help is the cheapest resource. Help is free if you ask for it, right? So the bigger you think, the first thing you're going to require is help. The smaller you think, the first thing you require is money.
And so I like that. And so money is not always the most important thing.
No.
But on the money point, a question is, so one of the things like you said, like if you're running a business and your annual returns, expected return is $1 million a year, you'll never need $100 million investment. And so I guess how big is the potential for LUHU? And so, so how big is the potential for LUHU? Whether it's an annual return, whether it's a
market
in terms of impact in world.
Well, a market cap, our specific industry is over a $400 billion industry, but also impacting and disrupting a $2 trillion industry. If you consider the incumbent industries such as the transportation, the cabs and stuff like that, because there is, and that is what Uber and they did to scale so massively. They disrupted a legacy industry, the transportation industry, right? So we have the capacity to disrupt a $2 trillion plus industry, but we are directly impacted in a $400 billion plus market, right? So LUHU has the capacity to become a unicorn. We aim to be a unicorn startup, so a company that achieves over $1 billion valuation.
I like that, man. I like that, and I love someone who can say their vision, say the $1 billion without breaking a sweat or a smile. You said it like it's already done, and so I love your drive. I love your dedication for your business, and knowing you personally and your personality, I'm sure you will accomplish everything that you set out to do. An interesting thing.
I didn't answer the whole question, right? In terms of capital, for example, you asked about confidential details. So we have raised capital. So an example, given that I would have mentioned that the scalability of LUHU, I have 2 years ago, I would have raised 10,000 USD for 1% of the company. 2 years ago, that was putting us at a $1 million valuation. 3 weeks ago, I would have raised 1 month ago, I would have raised 10,000 USD plus 20,000 USD for 0.1% and 0.2% respectively, putting us at a $10 million USD valuation. So that's facts, that's cash already received and stuff, right? We have a 100,000 USD commitment right now at a $10 million valuation. So 100,000 USD for 1% and 1 board seat. We, we today would have received an offer for $1 million USD plus investment. So we have, and this is actually some game I'm going to spread here. There's there are many funding opportunities across the world. Meaning, you could be in Trinidad, you could be in New York, and you can access funding in Dubai. You can access there are funds, international funds, where you could pitch your idea. Some of them invest in ideas, some of them invest at early business development level. There's one, for example, called Plug and Play Tech Center. That's a $1 million company. They were investors in Dropbox early, and they have a massive portfolio. We are right now in the final round to potentially raise about 100,000 USD from them. We pitch from Trinidad. You go to Plug and Play Tech Center. You can submit your idea. They invite you to interview if they think it's a big scale idea. After that idea, they invite you to, if you pass the interview round, they invite you to every Friday. They invite 30 companies to pitch to their panel of investors and about 30 of their company partners, right? So you have 3 minutes, pitch your idea. If they like it, they request a follow-up to invite you to a final meeting with the investment board. In 2020, they would have invested in 162 startups. The average check size is 108K. They invest from idea, meaning you have this great idea, I give you, they typically at minimum 25K to 50K minimum range, but that's the minimum, but the average range is 108K, but they invest anyway from 25K to I think like 200K. So if you have a good idea, go to Plug and Play, and we are right now at the final round for potential investment from them. So I mean, shout out, because these are real guys who provide not only opportunity funding, but in the process they give you great advice, give you great feedback, and they help you. So yeah, good opportunities out there.
Man, I think you can probably start a consulting business just on raising seed capital for startup companies. As you were going through the list of companies that may be invested in, the types of investments and the percentage of the company those investments may be able to purchase, I think it's beautiful how significantly and fast the company was able to scale up to say that, hey, we're now worth, what we were worth a year ago for 1%. That's only going to give you like 0.1. And what that was a year ago is only going to get you like 0.10%. And so I love to see, I love that the company is scaling quickly, that the investments in the company is growing, because that shows that people are truly buying into the idea of what LUHU is able to do, and the type of industries that it could potentially disrupt. Like I said before, I think based on where things are, and I'll speak primarily for the States, LUHU can be a very good disruptive idea in this current environment where people are looking to get back to local, local, impacting local businesses, local entrepreneurs. And I think LUHU can be an amazing idea in order to connect these individuals. I know you guys are big in TNT right now, but I can see this exploding in the US.
For sure. Well, to be clear on this, LUHU is not a Trinidad company. We are incorporated in the US, and a big part about LUHU is payments. So meaning you could transfer money to folks, meaning you could be in the US and send money to someone in Trinidad. We are going to facilitate cross-border payments, right? So we are right now, we've been invited by the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago to be part of an innovation hub that supports us in doing this. And our LUHU scaling plan is, it's not a Trinidad app, it's an app. LUHU is a social marketplace for the Caribbean, its diaspora in developed countries, Africa, and emerging markets. So my co-founder, he's currently based in Morocco. He's a Grenadian who lived in New York, but now is situated in Morocco for the past couple of years. And so that crazy alignments. I won a world youth silver medal in 2005 at Morocco. So I've always been connected to Morocco for some reason. I went to Morocco. He's based in Morocco. So our market is not just Trinidad or Caribbean. We are aiming to target the Miami, the Brooklyn, the Londons, you know, those particular
Yeah, yeah.
diaspora that has a huge Caribbean massive, the Toronto. So we do have in our strategic scaling or growth strategy to target some of these businesses that represent, yes, the black population, but also represent the culture and the Caribbean culture in the
Mhm.
US. And we have identified some of them. So I can tell you a business I would love to partner with. There's this one called Sweet Chick. It's actually
Mhm.
it's actually the owner. What's his name? Um, John. Seymour is Seymour, but this guy Nas is a co-owner in that business, you know, and
Nice,
they
nice.
offer a blend of Caribbean culture, but mixed with like Southern love sort of, you know. So
Mhm.
I mean, it is amazing, and he has direct Caribbean ties. So we think that by identifying these players who have been
Yeah.
able to provide a successful business in the, and you know how much Caribbean Jew can think it have in Queens and Jamaica. There are plenty of them.
Yeah,
Those are
no,
the
I'm out in
targets.
Boston now, and it's big out here. There's a huge
Yeah,
Caribbean population out here in Boston, so in Brockton and all over.
yeah,
So, no, like I said, I do think that this can be a multi-billion-dollar company,
for
and
sure.
I think if anyone can make it happen, it is you by far. So, I'm excited to continue to see the growth of LUHU and how it takes over the world.
For sure, for
Uh,
sure.
no, man, but it's a beautiful thing. One of the things I did see is that in part of the scaling, have you considered? And it was mentioned, I think maybe from one of your angel investors, about adding crypto or at some point scaling crypto currency as part of, I guess, maybe the way that you purchase on LUHU. Is that something you guys thought about? Is that maybe a long-term goal objective? What are your thoughts there?
Well, definitely. So, originally on the Luhu idea, I was envisioning the ability for folks to trade like a Luhu coin that allows
Mm,
you to use the media to pay for goods and services.
yeah, yeah.
Of course, if you that is a coin, that is a cryptocurrency coin. If you use it,
Mhm.
if there becomes a value attached to it, then it becomes a cryptocurrency. So, from that perspective, it was sort of like always in the in the in the roadmap. But what really gave me the conviction to move forward with it was I we participated in 2000 last year before COVID. We were selected to be part of a living accelerator program with an investor, billion investor, Tim Draper. So what they
Mhm.
does, he started a entrepreneurial program that every twice a year they invite about 20 founders with big ideas that can scale globally. They
Yeah.
invite them to participate, live with them. So you live in Silicon Valley for 5 weeks.
Mhm.
It's a 7-day intensive program, and essentially they mentor you on your business, help you develop that business model for massive scalability, and they give you the resource, network, and capital to support potentially scaling our business. So they support you with mentorship, network, and then also he has invested, Tim Draper and Draper University has invested over $340 million into founders who have participated in that program.
Mhm.
So if they believe in a project, they invest in you as well. So
Yeah.
we're invited to participate. COVID postponed it, but from July, I'm actually heading across to California. I'm going to be part of the program, live with them 5 weeks, 7 days a week. They're going to
Mhm.
mentor me, train me in the business. And Tim Draper is by rated as one of the top 100 most powerful people in finance in the world.
Oh, wow.
He is early stage Tesla, SpaceX, Uber, Twitch, Yahoo, Skype investor. Has over $1 billion net worth, but also he is one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. So back in
Mm.
like 2013, 2014,
Oh, wow.
he the state seized assets from one of those one of those one of those dark web websites,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
he won an auction purchasing about just under $30,000, or under 30,000 Bitcoin
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
$600 a Bitcoin about
Oh,
a
wow.
decade ago. So he paid $18 million for about 30,000 Bitcoin. That is, do you know how much that is worth today?
Yeah.
Right. So,
No idea. A lot of money. Bitcoin
a
is
lot
about
of
30 something a pop right now.
and no, but at a point it was 60 a pop. So what if, who knows that maybe he would have
Yeah.
liquidated some at the 60 up? Who
Yeah.
knows? But he
And
has.
and one of my favorite investors is Kathy Woods, and
Okay.
she's someone that says Bitcoin could get to half of $1 million. So
He's one of those
I
guys.
think that there is no telling how high Bitcoin is actually going to go. I do have a question that I do want to honor because we're getting close on time here. Is there any
One
way?
thing. Let me
Go
just
ahead.
play this real quick. So if you could.
See what opportunities can be between us. Fantastic. Oh, that's great news. We'd love to have Trinidad and Tobago.
I could send you the full clip, but essentially beyond what LUHU and Tim Draper have been able to develop a personal relationship with Tim Draper. He has taken an interest in LUHU, so but he wants to support beyond LUHU potentially the digitization of Trinidad and Tobago and its entire economy.
Oh wow!
So
Oh wow!
this extends beyond. So what he said, he has been a supporter of El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as his ledger. He has the capacity and the know-how and the knowledge and the resources to support for sure the digitization of a small economy like Trinidad and Tobago. So he mentioned to me flat out he would love to help and have a discussion with our government ministers and our state to support this. So I am mediating conversation there to potentially facilitate this.
That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal.
But question.
And like I said, we had the question for Thunder. We kind of addressed this question at all before, but I did want to honor the question because they may not have been on. Is there a way currently for an average person to invest in this?
Only if they are friends and family.
Only friends and family?
Yeah, only friends and family.
Okay. And so, I mean, part of me feels like that's how big it has gotten right now, where it's like, you're raising money from institutional investors and
not every friend and family, yeah.
Yeah. You know when people are ringing down your doorbell.
No. It's more of a I choose you than you choose me.
Yeah. No, but I think that's a beautiful place to be, where the company is in a place where it's like you don't really need and I don't want to say small money, but you don't need $1,000 here, $1,000. That will probably actually create more work than it would actually be beneficial to where you're trying to scale right now. And so, like I said, I think that's a beautiful thing. And like I said, I look forward to see what LUHU is going to do. I'll ask you this question as we wrap up, just to kind of help someone that's maybe doing a startup or struggling with a startup potentially. What are some of the main challenges, even if like some of your biggest challenges in running a successful startup, or pushing through? And so, like, what are some of the big challenges?
Perseverance. Well, right now, challenges are every day. The challenges are, how do you get money every day to fund this? Because once you have to allocate a particular portion of your time, it's going to cost you. So how do you fund this? How do you learn? How do you constantly be willing to accept feedback? And it's really about you challenging yourself every day to persevere to see this through. So when you break it down, it's really about, are you willing to persevere to endure the time to develop and learn this to successfully create value to what other people want it. That is what it is. When you have a product or business, it's really, you have something that other people want enough to where they pay you for it. So it's really at that point you persevere, because challenges are going to come between family, friends, financial challenges, life, personal challenges. So every day is really about my closest comparison is its polar opposite. That challenge that you face and people complain about of waking up to work every day,
Yeah.
That is the challenge of growing up. Is are you going to wake up and go to work every day for
Mhm.
yourself? That
Yeah.
this is an, are
That's
you
hard.
willing to be
Yeah.
correct? Are you willing to be self-aware enough to admit that you are now just reliant on yourself?
Mm.
That is all it is. And are you willing to wake up and do this for yourself? Because remember, we live in a world where a lot of people don't do this shit for themselves. Excuse the language. They do it for other people. So
Yeah.
if you live in a world where
And
people do
sometimes
things to
people
please other
find it
people.
easier to do things for other people than they do for themselves because it's like if I'm working for myself and I can technically sleep in, some people make
Exactly. They sleep
excuses
in
like
every
this,
day.
but you have to
Yeah.
wake up and grind twice as hard
Right.
when you're doing it for yourself, especially
Yeah.
I'll say especially in these early stages.
Correct.
Um, and so thank you for that advice. I guess if someone is watching this, they want to support LUHU. How is the
Definitely.
best way someone can support LUHU and the
If they
efforts
wanna,
that you're doing?
I will drop my email. Where I can drop my email address, or you can type
You
it
can
in.
drop it in the chat. If you see a chat,
Alright.
you can drop it in it. It'll get distributed um,
How do you
to
chat?
social media platforms.
I'm not too sure how do you chat.
Okay, you can tell me the email and I'll drop it for them.
Zwede at luhu.ne. Zwede, ZWEDE at LUHU.me. If they want to support, if they want to ask a question, reach out to me. We'll have a conversation before anything, and who knows where it could take us. So send me an email. Just briefly introducing yourself. Tell me that it's related to this podcast with Caden and Urban Finance, and we'll have a conversation. I can at least minimum we have a conversation. See where if we have a mutual ground of value, and we'll have a conversation. So anyone for Caden here, let's have a conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zwede, for taking the time to do this interview. I know you have a busy schedule. I know that I'm not providing any seed capital through this, and so I
You
hope
never know.
that
No, life works on lines in crazy ways. So two things before I leave. Today I am incorporating a startup consultancy firm. Today I'm incorporating. So under my umbrella, under it's not my under our umbrella now because I've recruited a small team.
yeah,
We have now under our portfolio about 8 high performing startups and some companies already turning over revenue. So I've been able on this journey to be blessed to be invited to be part of a couple high performing companies, but also companies that are already products out there. They're not they're still I still consider a startup first 5 years. So they might be there 4, they're making revenue, but they have not seen its maximum potential. So under this portfolio, we have about eight companies now, in various capacities. So some folks been coming to me with ideas, and I mean, as much as I can give, and I do give ideas for free. There came a point where my time was getting so restricted where they were some of them were really good, so I wanted to be part of them, and then 2, I have to start to sort of value my time and
yeah.
to where we're actually moving forward with now a consultancy, and again before even incorporating, we have about 8 startups. So 8
No, that's
startups
beautiful.
and companies. So that's great.
And like I said before, based on what you're doing, and I didn't even know you were having a consultancy, but based on what you were able to do with LUHU and what you are doing with LUHU, I said that that's something that I think you'll be great at. So maybe that dropped in the spirit from above.
Yeah, definitely. This align with some crazy alignments, man. Yeah.
But like I said, thanks again for joining us.
No
I'd
problem.
love to have you back on here maybe a year from now to talk about the progress LUHU has made and how it has connected people throughout the diaspora everywhere. And maybe by then you will be at least let's say a $500 million company. I think you can do it. So we look forward to that conversation. Any final words you have for the people as we go?
Think big, and learn. Be willing to learn. One of our major problem is that we stop being willing to learn and we stop being creative. So when you get creative, you think of great ideas that don't necessarily exist in a direct circle, and when you do that, that is a business. When not enough people around you have access to something that they may want or need, You provide it, and there's a business. So so start to be aware, be creative, and be willing to learn. Once you're willing to learn, you're willing to grow a company. So unless you're willing to learn, you can't grow a company. So be willing to learn and be creative, right?
Right. All right. You heard it from here, from Zwede. Think big, be willing to learn. And if there's something around you that people may not be doing and that you have a passion for it, get into that. Love you guys.
Even if you don't have a passion for it. If you're looking to make money, even if you don't have a passion for it, but if you identify an opportunity, seize it, right? If you identify an opportunity and it doesn't exist in your closed space, do it, because money matters in this life that we live. So that's all.
It does. I can't say it doesn't when the channel is called Urban Finance, and pretty much all I talk about is money. But y'all enjoy our day, and we'll see y'all soon.
Blessings, cousin, right?